NASA has now made a stunning revelation: there was certainly life on Mars. This new finding could change our arrangements to colonize and use Mars everlastingly. Yet, how would we proceed now, considering the latest revelations? Might NASA still justify sending humans to Mars? Mars is the planet in the solar system that most resembles Earth. Unlike Venus, it is quite suitable for human life, although no human could ever stand or walk unprotected on Mars. We could adapt our technology to survive in the environment, safeguarded by specialized spacesuits and breathing systems. Mars would be a reasonable alternative to Earth regarding surface conditions, temperatures, and gravity. However, right now, we have to ask ourselves seriously whether a human will ever go to Mars. The latest discoveries are shocking and could ruin plans by NASA and SpaceX President Elon Musk to colonize Mars as early as the 2030s. What exactly has NASA found on Mars now, and why is it challenging to assess? Is Mars a green world like our own? It is no secret that Mars is a fascinating yet desolate world. Until now, we have seen nothing but rock and endless red desert. Around 20 probes and rovers have so far examined Mars in detail, and these research units are considered the vanguard of human colonization on Mars. Before NASA or SpaceX send the first humans to Mars, they need to be certain that the astronauts can survive there. The truth is that the first people to take this adventure will need to be astronauts who have undergone rigorous training, like elite military warriors. These people need to survive incredible challenges and face mental pressures that we can hardly imagine, alone in a strange world so far from home that no help can be expected if something goes wrong. This, combined with the radically different environmental conditions, can quickly get to people. Do you know how Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, the first men to walk on the moon, were prepared? These 3 astronauts went through a rigorous program. They were dropped, armed only with parachutes and emergency supplies, over rough terrain such as jungle landscapes or over the Antarctic. The 3 of them had to pave a path for themselves. They had to be able to survive for days and weeks in isolation, and they needed the ability to face unknown dangers. All these aspects of space travel are easily forgotten when we look at the glorious pictures of the moon landing and the frantic honor paid to the astronauts afterward. The first Mars explorers will feel the same way. Their names will also be extraordinary in the annals of world history, and they, too, will become legends. But they could also die. Even the approach to Mars is a risk that we currently find difficult to calculate. If the missions fail, the names will probably be quickly forgotten. The names of the Apollo astronauts who burned alive in the capsule during a first test on Earth are almost unknown today. Most of the volunteers who have signed up to explore Mars so far are soldiers, mostly military pilots who later pursue a career as astronauts. In addition to the will to be one of the most extraordinary people on Earth, these pioneers generally have an almost insatiable curiosity and thirst for adventure. The unique opportunity to be the first to explore a distant world drives these people. Mars may be well researched, but we still know very little about the planet, and we know even less about how people will feel and behave on another planet. Dangers might lurk on Mars that we have not yet been able to imagine. How dangerous are the Mars quakes? Did you know that Mars is constantly shaking? It is fascinating that this planet experiences internal tremors frequently, leading to more or less pronounced quakes. Mars quakes are usually not as devastating as earthquakes on Earth, but they are more frequent. We know very little about Mars' interior, and this could be a source of danger that we have underestimated so far. Seismic measurements of Mars quakes have shown surprising results. Mars could have mysterious voids inside. Thanks to the quakes, scientists can listen to the planet's interior very well, much like an ultrasound. The tremors pass through the upper layers of the planet, revealing a great deal about its composition. Understanding Mars' internal structure is crucial for figuring out surface movements. Imagine if Mars is somewhat porous or fragile on the inside. In the worst case, entire regions could fracture or collapse. And now imagine that there are settlements there. On Earth, we are familiar with such phenomena as suddenly sinking areas or even faults, like the San Andreas Fault. Additionally, scientists are naturally eager to learn what might lie in any pits beneath the Martian surface. Simulations have shown that Mars may have been as geologically active as Earth a few 100 million years ago. It is possible that Mars had forests, rivers, oceans, clouds, weather, and a climate that was subtropical or Mediterranean. Then, the planet changed. It gradually lost its atmosphere and, subsequently, the ability to hold liquid water on the surface. Slowly, life vanished, and eventually, only what we see today, endless rocky deserts, remained. However, scientists have also discovered that certain remnants from this period of life may have retreated underground, much like the relics of the dinosaur age millions of years ago, hidden in the Earth's layers with caves, mines, shafts, and perhaps even underground lakes and seas beneath them. Similar remnants may have formed on Mars. If there ever was life, or even civilization, on Mars, its relics would now be buried under a layer of debris. What's more, imagine rock that is a few meters or even many meters thick. Yet, consider the possibility that our pilgrims and voyagers start to make discoveries at these depths that we hadn't anticipated or that are even hazardous. Imagine that, eventually, extraterrestrial pioneers or our own descendants accidentally uncover our underground nuclear waste storage facilities or stumble upon barrels of toxic chemicals and other waste that we humans store in tunnels and underground galleries. Mars as a habitable world, have you heard of terraforming? It sounds crazy, but Elon Musk's plans include bombing the cold poles of Mars with nuclear explosives to melt the water, create an artificial greenhouse effect, and thereby develop a kind of biosystem, at least in theory. As idealistic as it may sound, plans for terraforming are scientifically proven, it could really work. But what do we do if we no longer have control over the processes we've started? What if we upset the balance of Mars and possibly even endanger our own planet? Some scientists warn against excessively bold plans to intervene on a massive scale in a distant world. We should not see our planet as an isolated world. Just like how all systems on Earth are interconnected and work together, it is the same in space. Even if Mars is far away and other planets seem even more distant, these celestial bodies are somehow connected. We don't know what might happen if we artificially changed Mars into a habitable world. We also don't know whether our Earth became habitable precisely because Mars no longer was. To this day, we don't know exactly how life came to Earth. It could theoretically have come from Mars. The ongoing rover missions are revealing astonishing discoveries. We humans have now invested billions of dollars in Mars exploration. Currently, the Perseverance and Ingenuity rovers are the most active on Mars. The two are independently exploring crater worlds that appear to have once been lakes or small oceans. So far, neither of the two rovers has found any evidence of bacterial life or anything similar, but there are indications of fluid processes and phenomena such as erosion. Among the strangest finds are a structure resembling coral and rocks that shimmer in unusual ways. These could be the first signs that Mars isn't as barren as we once thought. Although the two rovers are constantly sending us new images and showing us incredibly sharp pictures of Mars, we need to realize that they are moving incredibly slowly. At most, the two rovers cover a few meters each day and have so far explored only a small part of the planet. Of course, we have already mapped and scanned the entire surface of Mars with satellites and orbiters like the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Some fascinating discoveries have been made, and surprising things are continually being uncovered. Among the most famous images are the so-called Mars face or the Martian pyramids, which could be revealed as pareidolia, an optical illusion. Mars can appear surprisingly familiar to us, which could be misleading if we think we already know this world too well. Imagine if aliens landed 2 or even 10 rovers on Earth, each exploring a different region. These rovers would move at a speed similar to our Mars rovers, spending decades exploring and still only seeing a very small portion of our world. Satellite scans of the surface would, of course, reveal our cities, settlements, natural structures, and maybe even our habits. But the alien observers would know very little about our planet as a whole. We know a similar story about Mars. The environmental conditions on Mars are still largely unknown. We know very little about the interrelationships and chain reactions in this world: vicious Martian storms, sudden gas emissions, destruction by Martian dust, and other risks are invaluable. Did you know, for instance, that moon dust can be dangerous? The moon's fine and sharp dust destroyed the zippers of the Apollo mission spacesuits, and particles brought by moon dust have caused severe allergic reactions in NASA employees on Earth. The rock is also so sharp that equipment must be made of special fibers. We already know this about the moon and can prepare for it. But on Mars, there are many more unknown dangers lurking. The first astronauts will be there soon, at the mercy of this uncertainty for months. Subscribe now, the most exciting discoveries are yet to come.